Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be making some cinnamon roll sugar cookies. This is going to be delicious. Instead of looking like a roll, it's more going to be like a swirl, but it's that cinnamon roll filling that we love so much. So let's begin. First off, I'm going to get started with the cinnamon roll filling. So you're going to need 1/3 cup of brown sugar that has been packed in. You need 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon. You're going to need 1½ tablespoons of flour. And lastly, you need 4 tablespoons of softened butter. It needs to be quite softened. Okay, and then we're just gonna mix that all together until it is well combined and makes a paste. Okay, so it should be looking something like this. It's a quite nice paste and it's pretty strong. And it's a beautiful cinnamon color. So we're just going to scrape this off, get it all kind of in there towards the center. Okay, and then this really needs to chill. So I'm going to put it in the freezer while we're making the rest of our cookies. In the meantime, we're gonna get started on our sugar cookies. First off, we need a cup of butter or 2 sticks of butter. And you want it to be softened, but you still want it to be a little cool to the touch. Okay, and then for sugar, we need just plain granulated white sugar. We need 1 1/3 cup of sugar. Okay, and then we're gonna beat this until it is light and fluffy. You're gonna wanna stop it occasionally to scrape down the sides. Okay, this is starting to look good, so we are going to scrape it down one more time. We need 1 3/4 tablespoons of vanilla. It's like barely anything left. I'm just gonna finish off this bottle. Make it a little more vanilla-y, but that's okay. And then we need 1 full egg and 1 egg yolk. So we'll just add those in there. And we're gonna get this mixing together. Okay, this came together beautifully. It is smelling nice and vanilla-y, so that is awesome. Now it is time to move on to our dry ingredients. So first off, we're gonna start with our flour. We need 2 3/4 cup of flour. And when we're doing this, we wanna make sure we're not packing it in there. Okay, and then up next, we need 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and finally, 1/4 a teaspoon of salt. Okay, and then we're just gonna quickly mix that all together. Okay, and then we're gonna slowly start adding this into our wet ingredients, but we don't wanna overmix it. So as soon as all the flour gets well combined, we're just gonna shut it off. Otherwise it can get really tough. Stop for a second and scrape down the sides. Okay, and it just came together, so we're gonna take it off. Get everything off of the beater. Okay, so we have our dough ready. I'm just going to get cleaned up a little bit before we do our next step. Okay, we got our doughs done, so now it is time to start layering in our cinnamon mixture that we made earlier and froze. So it got quite hard, so that's just what we're looking for. First off, we want to take about half of the cookie dough batter that we had and put it in a separate container because we're really going to layer this in. And then with the half that's left, we're going to kind of try to spread it out and kind of layer it a little bit flat so it's a little more spread out, something like that. Okay, and then we're going to want to use up about half of this mixture. So we're going to take our spoon and then take a little bit at a time and kind of spread it around, making little dots throughout our dough. Okay, so you want it looking something like this. So there's a bunch of little dots scattered around. Then we're gonna add back in the rest of our cookie dough and try to layer that flat too. So it's completely covering up the stuff we just did. So it's off to a fresh start, and we're gonna do the same with the rest of this. get out the rest of it. Okay. So it should be looking something like this. Finally, our last step for this is we're gonna wanna fold it in on itself. So we wanna do a big fold. So you go all the way to the bottom and bring it up to the top. Go to the bottom and bring it up to the top. And go to the bottom and bring it up to the top. Okay, and finally you're gonna end up with a dough ball that looks something like this. This is looking fantastic. So now it is time to start forming. Okay, so now we're gonna start forming our dough balls, and I'm gonna put them all on here and we're gonna put them in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes. We wanna let the cookie mixture firm up a little bit just so it doesn't spread as much as it's baking. But make sure your oven is preheated to 350. Mine is all ready to go. And as you're scooping these up, you wanna make sure you're getting some of that cinnamon swirl in each little bit. We don't wanna miss out on that on any of the cookies. This is looking so good. You don't need to spread these out on here because we'll be putting them on a separate cooking sheet to bake. Just getting them all formed out. Now I'm forming these before I refrigerate them because this cookie scooper tends to break if I refrigerate the dough first and then I have to scoop them out. It does not do well with the cookie dough being that hard. This is looking so good and it's smelling fantastic. I love the smell of cinnamon. And having this cookie scooper makes forming these go incredibly fast, and it makes them all uniform too, so they all bake at the same time, which is very helpful. Okay, I ran out of space on my cookie sheet, but we got so many of them. There is about enough dough for 2 more still in there, but for right now, I'm going to pop these in the refrigerator. This right here already made 35 cookies, so we are going to have so many of these. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, these have had 10 minutes to chill, so we are gonna bake them. This first batch, I'm gonna leave them really separated out because I do not know how much they're gonna spread. And I'm also gonna do a little bit of an experiment. So I'm gonna take 6, actually 7, let's do 7 of these. And then I have 2 that have not been refrigerated. And you're gonna wanna do this with clean hands, so make sure you wash your hands before you touch the cookies. And these bottom 2, when I go in, are going to be my ones that's soft. I'm gonna throw the rest of these back in the refrigerator so they stay cool. And we're going to bake these up to see how much it spreads, and also then we'll give them a taste test. You're gonna wanna bake them for 10 to 12 minutes, but you wanna keep an eye on them so they don't get too done. I like my cookies a little bit softer. Okay, it has been 11 minutes and I think they're done. It smells incredible in here. It smells so cinnamony. These look fantastic. So there wasn't too much of a difference in the ones that I didn't cool and the ones that I did. The ones that I did cool a little bit are like maybe a little bit taller, but not too much. Smell incredible. So I'm gonna let them sit for a second and then we're gonna put them onto our cooling rack and get the next set going. I think I can put another row on because they didn't spread out too much, which is good. Oh, these smell incredible. And they look so cute too with little swirls in the cookies. Not quite a roll, but close enough. Okay, so I'm gonna get another batch going. I'm gonna give these a little bit of time to cool and I will come back when it's time for a taste test. Okay, these have cooled enough, so it is time to give it a taste test. These look incredible. I love to see the little cinnamon swirls in them. They smell so good too. My house smells incredible right now, so let's give these a try. Yep, these taste incredible. The outside is nice and crispy right along the edge, and then on the tops and bottoms, but the inside still has a little bit of softness, which I really enjoy. I love the cinnamon flavor in it. It definitely tastes like the inside filling of a cinnamon roll. And it also kind of tastes similar to snickerdoodles, which have the cinnamon sugar coating on the outside. So it tastes very similar to those, which I love those, so it's no surprise that I love these as well. Whenever I eat cinnamon rolls, I always think of summers up at my aunt and uncle's resort. They would make cinnamon rolls every time we had to clean out all the cabins, so it's also very nostalgic to have the cinnamon roll flavor. So I'm in love with these cookies. These are so good. They're the perfect texture. So if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.